हरी हरी बोल। Some problem. Lo, aham, I, Kvam, you, Sarva, all, Abebhya, from sinful reactions. Moksha Yashyami, will deliver. Ma, do not. Suchaham, worry. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful not fear. Report. Fifth kinds of knowledge and process: knowledge of the supersoul, knowledge of the renounced order of life, knowledge of non-attachment, sense and mind control, meditation, etc. He has described in so many ways different types of religion. Now, in summarizing Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that Arjuna should give up all the processes that have been explained to him. He should simply surrender to Krishna. That surrender will save him from all kinds of sinful reactions, for the Lord personally promises to protect him. In the 7th chapter, it was said that only one who has become free from all sinful reactions can take to the worship of Krishna. Thus, one may think that unless he is free from all sinful reactions, he cannot take to the surrendering process. To such doubts, it is here said that even if one is not free from all sinful reactions, simply by the process of surrendering to Sri Krishna, he is automatically free. There's no need of strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reactions. One should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender unto him. The process of surrender to Krishna is described in Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.6.76. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshayasyati vishvaso goptritve varnam tatha atma nikshepa karparnye shadidha sharanagati. According to the devotional process, one should simply accept such religious principles that will lead ultimately to the devotional service of the Lord. One may perform a particular occupational duty according to his position in the social order, but if by executing his duty one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. Anything that does not lead to the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided. One should be confident that in all circumstances, Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. There's no need of thinking how one should keep the body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. As soon as one seriously engages himself in devotional service of the Lord, in full Krishna consciousness, he at once becomes freed from all contaminations of material nature. There are different processes for religion and purificatory processes by the cultivation of knowledge, meditation in the mystic yoga system, etc. But one who surrenders to Krishna does not have to execute so many methods. That simple surrender unto Krishna will save him from unnecessarily wasting time. One can thus make all progress at once and be freed from all sinful reactions. One should be attracted by the beautiful vision of Krishna. His name is Krishna because he's all attractive. One who becomes attracted by the beautiful, all-powerful, omnipotent vision of Krishna is fortunate. There are different kinds of transcendentalists. Some of them are attached to the impersonal Brahman vision. Some of them are attracted by the supersoul feature, etc. But one who is attracted to the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and above all, who is attracted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Krishna himself, is the most perfect transcendentalist. In other words, devotional service to Krishna in full consciousness is the most confidential part of knowledge, and this is the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Karma yogis, empiric philosophers, mystics, and devotees are all called transcendentalists, but one who is a pure devotee is the best of all. The particular words used here Ma shuchaha meaning don't fear, don't hesitate, don't worry, end quote, are very significant. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kinds of religious forms and simply surrender into Krishna, but such worry is useless. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you're my very dear friend. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. These are the famous verses concluding Bhagavad Gita. Really, this is actually the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. That's very clear from the text itself. Krishna mentions in the subsequent verses, this is the supreme secret. Somebody who studies this becomes perfect. So, in Bhagavad Gita, we know that there are many things that have been mentioned before. Srila Prabhupada mentions in both these purports, 65 and 66. We've heard about karma yoga, we've heard about karma itself, we've heard about Atma Gyan, we've heard about Paramatma Dhyana, we've heard about so many different things in Bhagavad Gita. And so there are different ways that people interpret Bhagavad Gita. I had trouble with this in my own life when I was very, very young. Somehow I was interested in Bhagavad Gita, but every Bhagavad Gita that I read said something slightly different, and I couldn't really get what was being presented because it was vague. There's a reason for that. The reason is that the people who published those editions of Bhagavad Gita also didn't understand it. Why? Because in chapter 4, Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshyo viduhu. This process is understood if you accept it from Guru Parampara. And generally the Bhagavad Gita editions that I read, before I read this one, they were not representing any bona fide Guru Parampara. In Kali Yuga, there are 4 Guru Paramparas mentioned. Brahma Samhita Sampradaya, that's later on fortified by Madhvacharya. Sri Sampradaya, later on fortified by Ramanujacharya. Kumar Sampradaya, later on fortified by Nimbarkacharya. And Vishnu Swami Sampradaya, or the Rudra Sampradaya, later on fortified by Vishnu Swami. So our Sampradaya, this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, is coming from Brahma originally. Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Sampradaya. And Srila Prabhupada, in the very beginning of this book, just in case anyone wants to know, he has listed his parampara very clearly at the conclusion of his introduction. So we can look at that. There are 32 names on this list. Srila Prabhupada's name is the last one. So this is a bona fide disciplic succession, and the teachings that have been received from Srila Prabhupada, he received himself from his predecessors. They received it from their predecessors, all the way back to Lord Brahma. Brahma, Narad, Vyas, Madhva, Ityadi. So this is actually how we understand Bhagavad Gita. So I was mentioning there are many different ways that people interpret Bhagavad Gita, and it confuses the picture considerably. Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have distracted you. Everybody's busily looking up, trying to find where is the Guru Parampara. The point is that you can look it up at your own time. But it's on page 30 for your information. Those who are still interested. So we can interpret Bhagavad Gita in so many different ways, but no matter how we interpret Bhagavad Gita, everybody agrees on one thing. What is that? What is it about Bhagavad Gita that we all can agree on?
Said by Krishna.
Yeah, oh, okay. Yeah, everybody agrees that it's spoken by Krishna. But what is Arjuna going to do at the conclusion of hearing this Bhagavad Gita?
He has to do his duty.
Okay? And what is his duty?
To fight in the battle.
He's going to fight. Nobody will say that at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is not going to fight. Isn't that right? Okay? So, in other words, Arjuna is surrendering. But Krishna's point in this verse, second verse, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, how do you figure that? Whole Bhagavad Gita is about dharma, and now he's saying Sarva Dharman Parityaja. How does that make sense? Who has any ideas about this? Whole Bhagavad Gita, he's teaching you about dharma, especially in the first 5 or so chapters. And now he's saying to just forget about everything. Even in the purport, Prabhupada also indicated all these things that have been discussed before, you can just throw them aside and simply surrender to Krishna. So what is that? Who can explain this? What does it mean? Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. What Arjuna is to give up is not exactly the action that he's expected to perform, because the whole discussion is actually meant to convince him to do that. So what he has to give up is the conception that his duty that he has to perform is something separate from devotional service to the Supreme Lord. That's the real key. In other words, you should do your duty, Arjuna should do his duty, we all should do our duty, but that duty should not be performed with a vision that's separate from the vision of the Supreme Lord. We should perform that duty for the purpose of pleasing the Supreme Lord, not for the purpose of evading the Supreme Lord or ignoring the Supreme Lord. That's love. Bhakti means you're doing whatever. What does Krishna say? Yat karoshi, yat ashnasi, yat johoshi, dadasi yat tapasyasi, kaunteya, tat kurushva, mat arpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you offer, whatever you eat, whatever sacrifices or austerities you perform, anything you do, you should do that as an offering to me. And Srila Prabhupada has explained this also in his purport. So this is what Arjuna is expected to do. The whole point of Bhagavad Gita is not to get Arjuna to renounce his duty, neither is it meant to get Arjuna entangled in his duty, but you should do your duty as an offering of love unto me. That's what he means when he says sarva dharman parityaja. If you see them separate from your devotional service, then you should give it up. In other words, and mamekam sharanam vraja. You should come to me only. This is the point. And what happens if we do that? According to text 66, we read it out loud together.
Fearless.
Fearless, he doesn't mention fearlessness. What does he mention? I will free you from what? Yeah, this is what we're doubtful, right? Wait a minute, if I give up my duty or whatever, then I might get entangled in sin, because it's a fact, actually. If you have if there's a shastric injunction that's identifying your duty and urging you to perform it, and you don't do that, of course there's a sinful reaction. It's like going to the supermarket and just filling up your shopping cart and walking right past the check stand. Up to your car, you have to do your duty. So, but the point is that you should not view your duty as something independent from the bhakti, because it really isn't, ideally at least. It is possible to do your duty and at the same time ignore the bhakti of the Supreme Lord. But what do you gain from that? Hard work only. Shrama eva hi kevalam, Bhagavatam says. You know the verse? Who knows that verse? Dharma shvanushtatas pumsa vishvat tatasiya notpaliyat yariratim. Shrama eva hi kevalam. If you're very particular, very dutiful, very responsible about your duty, and you're into it, but it has nothing to do with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, then what do you get as a result of performing your duty? You get only the duty that you perform. You get the shrama only. Labor. Useless labor. Our activities are meant to take us somewhere. They're meant to produce a change in our consciousness, because when we change our consciousness, we can help others. We have no purpose in the world with that. So this is the idea. Go ahead and perform your duty. This is the point here, but perform that duty as bhakti. But then the question comes, how do we perform this bhakti while doing our duty? Who has the answer? We've heard it already. We've recited it already. I'm thinking about text 65. Without looking, tell me what it means. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mamai vaishasi satyam te pradijani priyosine. What's he saying? Arjun, I'm telling you this because I love you. And what is it that he's telling Arjun to do? 4 things. What are they?
Always think of me.
Manmana, think of me. What else? Bhavamad bhakta, be my devotee. Or
Madhya.
Madhyaji, worship me, and Mam namaskuru, you offer your namaskar to me. 4 simple things. Who cannot do this? Raise your hand if you're unable to do this. Yeah, everybody can do it. Nobody has raised their hand. So that's simple things. Anybody, children can do this also. Children can think of Krishna. Children can worship Krishna. Children can be devotees of Krishna. They can bow down to Krishna. Simple things. That's all. But do only that. That's the challenge. If you do only that. So, therefore, Prabhupada said in his purport to text number 65 that one should actually mold one's life in such a way, you don't have to look it up, I'm going to explain. You should mold your life in such a way that you can always remember Krishna. That's why you see in this house, every wall, whose picture do you see? Basically everywhere. Wall to wall Krishna. Then you can never forget. You just, even if your mind is blank one day, you look at the picture and you go, oh, there's Krishna with Srimati Radharani. They look like they're so much in love. Maybe I should love Krishna like that. Someday it can come like that. Or you see Narasimha Dev ripping Hiranyakashipu to shreds, and you think, well, if I cultivate Hiranyakashipu's consciousness, maybe that's your choice, right? So this is what Prabhupada writes here. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think about Krishna. The point is that one should not become an official meditator or an official devotee. What does an official devotee do? He comes and sits in the back and puts his kids forward and have them do it and becomes very proud. Or, he comes and he gives some money to the temple because that's a lot easier than giving your heart. Right? This is called official devotional service. And Prabhupada said one should not become an official meditator. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. Raise your hand if you did not take a bath today. You don't have to raise your hand. I trust that everyone here took a bath today. When you take your bath, what are you thinking about? Is there any reason you cannot think about the Yamuna when you take your bath? There are so many beautiful prayers to Yamuna. At least it's what I do, because even if I'm in such a place as Ellicott City or Baltimore, or what place are we in right now? Frederick, Maryland. Still, I can remember Yamuna, and remembering Yamuna means remembering Chintana Dhama, Vrindavan Dham, and remembering Vrindavan Dham means remembering all the Kalpavriksha trees within that dham, which fulfill all of your desires. All the cows that are wandering about, what kind of cows are they? What kind of cows? Yes, Kamadhenu, Surabhi cows. And Surabhi Palyantam, who's taking care of those cows? Gopala. That's right. Then we can remember Gopala, and then we think, maybe I should do something for Gopala. I'm supposed to be in love with him, right? So this is Krishna consciousness. From your shower, you can be Krishna conscious. It's a fact. You can say, what is that? Kalindatanaye Devi Paramananda Varshini. Snani te salade sarvata ratan mandimochiya. My dear Yamuna, daughter of Kalinda, you are the person who increases the supreme ecstasy. Now I'm bathing in your waters. Please purify me of all my aparadhas, all of my offenses and sins. And so many, Rupa Goswami has given us one Yamanashtakam. Vallabhacharya has also given us another Yamanashtakam. Other acharyas have also glorified the Yamana. You can get completely absorbed in this. And in this way, no matter what you're doing, in every one of your activities, you can do this. When you eat, you have to eat. Did Krishna mention that in the verse we quoted? Yet karoshi, yet ashnasi ka matlab kya hai? Ashnasi means to eat. So whatever you do, whatever you eat, eating is an important part. Raise your hand if you did not eat today. So everybody's on the same page. We eat, right? We bathe, we eat. We do these things, but do them in such a way that you will remember Krishna. It's very practical, very practical. And then any spare time you have, does it go for Facebook or Instagram? Yeah, usually it does. Facebook is the only book that people read in 2026, in my experience. Especially, they're not going to touch a religious book of all things, right? If you have to read a book, it's going to be on, I don't know, do they still have C++ and Python and all these things? I don't know. Not my field. I was in the humanities. But, these are the things. Yeah, look at it this way. We have 4 books. Srila Prabhupada said there are 4 books that are sufficient to make you Krishna conscious. One of them is this, Bhagavad Gita Yatharu, as it is. Now, when I first saw this Bhagavad Gita as it is, I thought, oh my God, how ostentatious is that? What about all the other Bhagavad Gitas? Well, why this one is as it is instead of the others? Well, I had the answer already. I just didn't know it because I hadn't read this one yet. The answer is that you can't understand those Bhagavad Gitas because they're not as it is. They're as somebody else needs it to be in order to fulfill their own purpose. That's why they twist and twangle the meaning in so many creative ways. And I was a victim of this. I wanted to understand Bhagavad Gita, but I couldn't make any sense out of it. Somebody's saying, just meditate on a candle flame, and somebody else is saying that you're God, and somebody else is saying there's no God, and even a theologian will become confused. But when I read Bhagavad Gita as it is, everything bilkul spasht ho gaya. And I had no more questions, actually. By the end of the introduction, all the questions were answered. What to speak of the rest of it? I'll tell you a story. This is a true story. In Seattle, there was one gentleman working for a Patkar company. That was in the old days, 1990s. He was from Tiruchendur. Anybody here from Tamil Nadu? Must be somebody. Steady, okay. So this man was working for Patkar. He was actually from a priestly family, and he was worshiping Skanda. He's one of the pujaris. He grew up in the Agraharam, and he's worshiping Skanda there in the big temple of Skanda in Tiruchendur. So he came to America. He's working for not Bill Gates. He's working for Patkar company. But he's IT engineer. What does IT stand for? No. What does it really stand for? International Telugu. Or in his case, International Tamil. It's true. 90% of those people that I was preaching to in Seattle, or rather Redmond, they were all Tamil Ayers, mostly. And they had come to get money from Microsoft and other such corporations. Anyway, so he was doing that. Then one of his colleagues at work, who happened to be an ISKCON congregation member, Mukesh Sharma, he asked him one day, what is your opinion about Bhagavad Gita? And this South Indian had never heard of Bhagavad Gita even. And the Sharmaji was shocked. Hey, you're a South Indian Brahmin? You don't even know what Bhagavad Gita is? Shame on you. You let him have it. And this hit him like a spear through the heart. Jaise mera bhai ne kaha, kya hai? Mere par nikas gaya Satguru Marya tir. Shot through the heart with an arrow by the bona fide spiritual master. That's how he felt. So he he went home and he looked up. In those days, we had yellow pages, phone book, because not everything was on, all interconnected digital now like it is. But so he looked up whatever, any temple, anything. He just went to the first temple he could find. It happened to be International Society for Krishna Consciousness. When he walked in, he found that I was sitting there playing harmonium, American guy. And he was astonished. This is an American guy singing these bhajans. He was just stunned. He stayed for the program. He heard the kirtan. He heard the lecture. He took prasadam. But he made sure that when he went home that night, he was going home with his own copy of Bhagavad Gita as it is. And you know what he did? He stayed up all night long reading Bhagavad Gita as it is, from cover to cover, from the table of contents all the way to the last appendix. He just read everything. He was serious. He thought, I'm a Brahmin. This is the guy, I mean, it's true. I don't know anything actually. And Hote, he started to chant Hare Krishna, and he started to attend regularly. It really moved him, that experience. If you stay up all night reading Bhagavad Gita, maybe you can try this next near July Ekadashi. Just, read Bhagavad Gita until you finish, or on Gita Jayanti, right? They have that Moksha Ekadashi. You can do this actually. It is possible. It takes about 4 hours, maybe 5 hours to read the entire Bhagavad Gita. All right, so what's my point? My point is that Prabhupada said there are 4 books that can make us Krishna conscious: Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The last 2 are Smritis, written by the Acharyas in this line. The first 2 are well known. So, and these books, he said, is sufficient in themselves, completely. Now, let's look at this with a lens of logic and common sense. Everybody here went to college? Yes. How many books did you read in college on an average per semester? Maybe 3, 4 minimum, right? And you didn't just read them light reading. You studied those books because you had to be tested on them, correct? 1 academic year, 3 semesters, you've got 12 books that you've read, minimum. And then you go through that for 4 years. This is just BA, right? 12 times 4 means how many books? Almost 50 books. And you have graduate education, you do the same thing, isn't it? And you learn those books. You really know you actually take it seriously, correct? And this is only 4 years of your life. Now we're saying that you have your entire life and you only have to study 4 books. And we just, that's just like way over the top. I can't do that, isn't it? Yeah, we think like this. Why? Because we're not serious. We're just not serious. What does Krishna say in the verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text number 1? The verse on which Srila Prabhupada spoke more often than any other Bhagavad Gita verse. Anybody know that verse? 7.1? What does it mean? He says, Mayasakta manaha partha. If you want your mind attached to me, yogam yunjanmad ashraya, connected to me in yoga, and having taken shelter of me, and you want to know me in full, comprehensively, without any doubt, what do? Tatrinu. Just hear. That's all you have to do. Just hear. Or hear something. And then he goes on to say, chapter 7 is a good chapter. Prabhupada has quoted it here. I shall now declare unto you this knowledge, both phenomenal and luminous, being known, nothing further shall remain for you to be known. I know that this was my experience with Bhagavad Gita. I read this one book, and all my questions about Bhagavad Gita were answered. But it's so clear. Why is it clear? Because it's consistent. Why is it consistent? Because it's coming in Guru Parampara. He's not changing anything, not adding anything, not subtracting anything. And he's only speaking on Krishna's behalf. He's not fulfilling his own agenda. So many people, Bhagavad Gita, for this kind of person or Bhagavad Gita for that purpose, or they have some agenda, and that just obscures the entire meaning of the text. Frankly, most of them are just interested in business, or they want followers, or they want something, but they don't want to represent Krishna. But Prabhupada's purpose was different. Prabhupada's purpose was Krishna's purpose. He was ordered by his spiritual master. You're very learned in English language. Why don't you speak this message to the English-speaking peoples of the world? Bhara bhumite hoilo manusya janma jar. Janma shardhatvari karo parupakar. No Bengalis here? One? Okay, so you understand. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that whatever anybody born in Bharata Bhumi should take advantage of this human form of life. Assimilate Krishna consciousness first. Make your janma useful. Janma sarthakari. Tabhi. Then you can actually do something for the rest of the world. Everybody comes here to America for what purpose?
Money.
Only for money. Right. And how do you get to America? What do you have to do in order to get your visa? Huh?
Pay money.
Pay money?
Apply for visa.
Oh, come on, people. Think more piously. You have to go to Chilikuru and worship Visa Balaji. Everybody did this, right? Why aren't you thinking? And he did, for some reason, for his own purpose, he is giving out those visas, correct? You got here, right? So this is the point. We have to think about Bhagavan. Visa Balaji. I knew him before he was famous. Used to be a little empty place in the middle of nowhere. Nobody goes, nobody cares, nobody knows. Now it's like last time I went there, a whole city has sprung up around this temple. And there's like a square mile parking lot, it seems, full of buses from every province in South India. And the crowds are so thick that you can't even get through them with a fire hose. So eager is the taste for money. Would that we would have that kind of enthusiasm for learning about Krishna by reading Bhagavad Gita. All right, so let me finish my point. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Instruction, or Nectar of Devotion. 4 books only you have to read, but take it seriously. Learn something. Make your life successful. Uttamana nara deha paya, prani, isaka hitaka chukarale, Kabir Dasti ne kaha. So this is the idea. Janama satsange taraho e bhavasinture. In satsanga, you can overcome all the miseries of material existence, mainly by hearing. So that's, Prabhupada spoke on this one verse. And Krishna says, if you want to know me in full, and you want to be attached to me, you want to take shelter of me and practice yoga, then you just have to hear. That is the first thing you have to do. Open up the book and read it. Austerity of knowledge is mentioned in chapter 4, text number 10. Vita, Raga, Paya, Krodha. What is the rest of it? Manmaya mamupashataha bahavo jnana tapasa puta madhavanagataha. What does it mean? That being freed from attachment, fear, and anger because of having been purified by the austerity of knowledge, many, many people came to me, and what happened to them? Last line. Madhavam agataha. They came to love me. They got bhava bhakti. So, just by hearing, purified by the austerity knowledge. Knowledge is austere because you have to actually take this book off the shelf. The title is Bhagavad Gita as it is, right? But that doesn't mean that you leave it as it is. You have to actually open it and hear it as it is. It's like you go to the doctor when you're sick, and you pay for the doctor's visit. You get the prescription from the doctor. You faithfully carry that prescription to the pharmacy. You pay for that medicine and then you let it sit on the shelf at home. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not speaking high things here. This is just common sense. If you want to learn something, you have to hear. And if you want to change your life, if you want to elevate your consciousness, you have to mold your life in such a way that you always remember Krishna. Manmana. This is what it means to become a devotee. Bhavamad bhakto. You bow down to Krishna, you worship Krishna enthusiastically. This is our only happiness in life, actually. At least I'm speaking for myself. To be able to worship Krishna and speak something about Krishna, nothing else can compare. So, in good association, if we hear this message repeatedly and daily, that's an important thing. It has to be regular. Just like you daily eat, right? You daily bathe, correct? Every day you take care of your children, right? Do you worship Krishna every day? Maybe, to some degree we do. But this is all. But how do you eat? What do you eat? How do you sleep? How do you bathe, as we said? What do you hear? All these things have to be molded in such a way that they inspire us, enlighten us, and take us higher in Krishna consciousness. So that's what he needs. And this is the instruction that he has repeated how many times in Bhagavad Gita? Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji ma namaskuru. Has he said it only once in Bhagavad Gita?
Right.
Twice? There are a couple of few verses in Bhagavad Gita that he says the same thing twice. What's another one?
9.34.
No, another verse. Yajna dana tapaschaiva pavanani manishinaha. Three things that always purify you, even if you're a great, intelligent person. Sacrifice, charity, austerity. That he says twice. What does that mean? It means it's going to be on the Antim Pariksha. So, same thing with this verse. Four simple things. Think of Krishna, become a devotee, bow down, worship him. Oh, it's so simple. It's too simple, actually. We're thinking that we have to go and, stand on our head or surround ourselves with, fires and, meditate up to the neck in freezing water like the yogis in Himalayas. And we're thinking all these things are required, but it's not. According to Krishna, all you have to do is these four simple things. But why can't we do it? We're puffed up and we're complacent. The Purusha, especially the men, I'm sorry to say. Purusha Abhiman is a big obstacle, no? We don't want to bow down. What if somebody sees me? What if my friends find out that I'm chanting? Right? This is the puffed up false ego. Hare Baba, everybody is an eternal servant of Krishna. Your friends are going to evaporate in 100 years. What's the point of what they say about you right now? Think about your future. Who are you? Where have you? Kahan se aaya? Kahan jaoge? This is, again, Kabir says it. Who is your real family? Who really loves you? Sabapai se ke bhai. That's what he says. So this world is not our home, and we're just wasting this human form of life. Such a grand opportunity. What is that? Janmasa durlabhamidam bahusam bhavante. After many, many millions of births. How many million? 8 million. 8,400,000 different species of life. Modern science has not yet even defined what one species is in a very pakka way. But Bhagavatam says there are 8,400,000 species which correspond to the different kinds of consciousness that we might create for ourselves or cultivate within ourselves. And that's characterized chiefly by the different desires that correspond to those different modes of consciousness. And there are bodies that correspond to those desires so that there's a slot for everybody. If you want to engage in activities that you have in common with animals, then why not take birth as an animal? And there are people who are so covered over that they actually say like that, our Western friends. Data, yeah, I'd be happy to be a dog. I mean, what is it about your education and your human form of life if in the end you're going to become an insignificant dog? Humanity is something that's not biologically determined. Yes, you have to have the appropriate DNA, but that alone is not what makes a human being. Dharmasya hina pashubhisamana, Hitopadesh tells us. Without dharma, we're no better than animals. They're looking around, running around on their four legs, looking for what? Ahara, nidra, bhaya, maituna. This is the thing that they want. We don't call it bhaya or fighting or fear. What do we call it? Security. This is the buzzword now, right? Secure your data. This is animal life. This is what animals have to do. So they're running around on four legs looking for eating, sleeping, mating, defending. We're doing the same thing, but we're doing it on four wheels. And we think this is humanity. We think that this is actually civilization, sophistication of animal propensity. Dvipada pashu. Nidai nabulino mokhe, mojilo samsara shokhe. What is the next line? She boro durachara. She pashu boro durachara. Narottam Das Thakur said. Somebody who, as a human being, has not contacted Nitai or Krishna or the spiritual master, Balaram, and cultivated devotional service in this way, he's misbehaved. He's no better than an animal. You don't want to be like that. So it begins by hearing. Whole life, you have only 4 books to read. You've already read. How many did we decide you've read? Minimum 50 for your undergraduate degree, and then so many more at the graduate level. So let's say 70 books you've read, right? And you really read them. You wanted to learn those things. How serious are we about hearing Bhagavad Gita? We're not serious. That's all. There's a word for this in English. It begins Hypo. You could guess how to finish that word. Hypocrisy. We're thinking, I'm also Krishna's devotee. Are Baba, do what Krishna is asking you to do. Patrino. Patrino. Yathagnatasi, as much as you want to learn something. So these are a few things we can think about with these verses because everything begins with hearing. Now, we've already heard that in this rare human life, how do we cross over this ocean of material existence? Satsanga. Satsanga. If there is one thing that guarantees that you will make spiritual advancement, even more so than hearing, I'm going to dare to say that. And Prabhupada actually did say association. It's 90% of your advancement. If you want to become an engineer, you have to join some association of engineers, some conference of engineers, right? And if you want to advance in spiritual life, you have to regularly associate with those who are trying to advance. Those who are trying to advance, not official meditators who are just claiming that, and they see it as a social club or a recreation or whatever they see it as. So, satsanga. Take satsanga. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastra koi, navamatra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. What does it mean? Even a little bit of association with the sadhus, that is enough to give you every perfection. Sarva siddhi hoy. Sarva shastra koi. All the shastra says this. So associate regularly with those who are trying to advance spiritually. Hear something in that association, and then act on what you're hearing. We were talking about the austerity of knowledge. First austerity, open the book and gather some knowledge. That's the first thing you have to do, data input. And then the secondary austerity, what happens when you gather enough of this knowledge, when you're hearing so many things, what do you have to do next? You have to make some choices. You have to do something, right? It forces you into a decision of some sort. Am I going to continue to eat these things and perform those activities and associate with such people, or am I going to make some change in my life? You have to apply this knowledge. Chanakya Kautilya said, Shastra that is not applied in daily life, it becomes poisonous. Okay, so because you get proud, you think you've learned something, but actually you haven't learned anything. All you gain is pride. All right, that's the second austerity of knowledge. And the final austerity, you already said, you've heard something, you've assimilated it by application. Now what do you have to do? Look around you. You can recognize, how are other people doing? You see they're suffering. Why don't you do something about it? We were talking about the Tamilians here. I don't remember which one of you. You've heard of Velapuri Krishnan, right? Very famous Kathakar. So his institution in, at least in, what is that place? Birthplace of Namawar. Alvar Tirunangri in Tamil Nadu. He has his ashram. And you know what he calls it? Kinchit Kadam Trust. What does it mean, Kinchit Kadam? He's do something. Tertiary aspect of knowledge. Knowledge is useless unless you apply it in order to help improve this world. Help yourself, at least. You have to do something. You've learned something, you've actually understood, you've created some realization, you've applied it in your own life, and you try to help somebody else. And you will find, not may find, you will find. People are not always eager to wake up. Sometimes they don't want to hear what you have to say. Therefore, it's an austerity. Okay. But Krishna says, by this austerity of knowledge, many, many people who embrace this principle, they have become purified, and they all reach me. They all got love for me. You can do the same. This is what birth in South Asia is actually meant for. You should be spiritual ambassadors for the rest of the world. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. Dare dekhe, tare kaha, Krishna Upadesh. Amar ajnai guru haya tare desh. It's applicable to everybody everywhere, but especially Indians, given the previous verse I cited. All right, I'm going to stop here, but if anybody has any questions or any comments. What does it mean to surrender to Krishna? Mame kam sharanam vraja. Follow these instructions that he's giving in Bhagavad Gita. First of all, hear Bhagavad Gita, follow the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, and share it with others. Take that up. Any questions? No. Everyone's already perfectly situated. Or you're entirely uninterested. I know it's neither one of those. Somebody must be. This information should pique your curiosity. It should produce some questions. Any question is okay. Yeah.
I have one question.
Well, thank you.
So you said always remember Krishna. Out of four things, the first one was always remember Krishna. And you said it is very easy, but actually that is very difficult. Remember.
I said already, you take a shower every day, you eat every day, you see the sun every day. Krishna says, Prabhasmi says, Shashi Surya, why not remember him? It's here in the books. Even the translation is given, every word is broken up, we chanted it together. You can understand what each synonym means, and then there's a purport to explain it. What is the problem? You can remember, you just have to make the choice. It's not a process, it's a decision. Continue your question. Sorry.
No, that was the question.
Yeah, so, this is why Krishna tells us, you study chapter 10. I'll just read a couple of verses from that chapter for you. Chapter 10 is very important. In fact, the real essence of Bhagavad Gita is fixed into chapter 10. So what does he say? He's telling about his vibhutis, his opulences. Of lights, I am the radiant sun, right? And he says, of the Vedas, I'm Samaveda. Of the senses, I'm the mind. Anybody here mindless? You have a mind. Of Rudras, I'm Lord Shiva. Yakshas, Rakshasas, I'm the Lord of Wealth, Kuvera. Of immovable things, of the mountains, I'm Himalayas. Sarasamas, Misagara. Where are we now? What state are we in? Maryland. You do have an ocean here, right? So when you see the ocean, do you remember this? Sarasamas, Misagara. Why does he say these things? Unless to help us to remember him. Even if you can't take it that far because of, Teflon mind, then at least you can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. And that's actually better anyway. So it's a simple thing. Here's what I recommend. You rise a little, 5 minutes, 10 minutes earlier than you rose this morning. You set your alarm clock 10 minutes earlier tomorrow morning. In those 10 minutes, when you're all fresh and ready to go, you study one verse and purport of Bhagavad Gita as it is, and then you repeat that verse to someone else during the day, tomorrow. This is practical. You can do this, right? Whether you will do it or not, that's your choice. And Krishna's not going to force you also, but it can be done. And if you do this, you will see your life will change. That's how we remember Krishna. You hear something, you repeat the same thing to someone else, you implement it in your life, and if you do that every day, you build up quite a bank balance of spiritual assets. Okay. Anyone else? You look like you have a question.
Yes, yes, prabhuji.
That's why she moved up.
So, Prabhuji, when I started learning about Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, and that time I had this that urge that I want to learn more. Oh, I did not know anything, and I felt like I'm too late. And then slowly we started attending Bhakti Vriksha and started attending classes of Srimad Bhagavatam and started reading Bhagavad Gita. At certain point, like if I tell you about right now, things are slowing down. Like it was like this.
This is normal.
It's like
I know your question.
I'm like, am I doing something wrong? And
I've heard it so often. I already know what you're saying.
things have started getting better. So I'm like, is it me? Like now things are better and I'm forgetting him. I'm not giving.
This happens
Krishna.
to everyone. Look at it this way. When you get married, anybody here married, you can raise your hand. Or you don't have to. If you're not married, it's okay. When you get married for at least 2.5 years, your feet do not touch the ground. After that, then you realize, hey, this is about hard work, especially if there's some kids coming, right? And then it's like, from that point on, it's the next 25, 30, 40 years is all sacrifice, right? So, the initial euphoria of the newlyweds, you can always tell who's a newlywed and who isn't. If the husband and wife are walking together, that means they're newlyweds. If they're 10 feet apart, or if they're in separate cars, that means they've been married a long time. But anyway, it's like all that passionate bliss that happens for just a few years only, and then it wears off, and then you got to start working at it. There's a real deep happiness and fulfillment that comes when you adhere to a marriage in complete faithfulness as a matter of dharma. That's another thing. But the passionate and the prayas rather than the shreyas is what I mean to say, and I think you understand that term. That it doesn't last very long. And similarly in bhakti, when you first, we can call it purvaraga. When we first come in contact with Krishna consciousness, it's just wonderful. And usually the grand mistake that everybody makes in that stage, they want to go and preach to all of their family and all their people at work, and you realize very quickly, hey, this is not working. They don't care. So I don't recommend that, but It wears off. It's natural. You just have to continue with the process and keep your enthusiasm. Anyways, even though that initial, what do I want to say, adrenaline rush of bhakti has worn off after some time. It's normal because our minds get bored, especially if we're Geminis. Oh my God. Sorry if anyone here is a Gemini, but you probably already know what that's like. Just constantly in need of new. Anyway, so the mind is like that. And Rup Goswami gives some very nice advice for this in his Upadeshamritam. Have you read that book? Okay, that's the book you need, especially texts number 2 and 3. I'll tell you, the first thing he says is Utsahan Nishayat Dhairyat Tatsat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyagat Sato Vritte Shadir Bhakti Prasiddhati. It means if you can remain enthusiastic and confident and patient all at the same time while fulfilling all the regulations, rules and regulations of bhakti, and avoiding bad association and living a pure life. These 6 things. If you can do that, you will move through this stage of what you call doldrums, right? Where you feel like you've lost your enthusiasm. But the point is, don't be discouraged by that. It is a natural thing. It happens to everybody. You just have to keep pushing. And the key here is that the stronger the association you keep, the more association you keep, I mean satsanga, then that's going to speed up this process. So it's up to you how much you want to get through this, how quickly you want to get through this. It depends entirely on you. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. So based on what we learned today, in 18.65, Krishna says, always remember me. And you have given a multiple practical life examples and ways on how to do that. But it has so happened that even though we consciously try to do that, entire day, like morning we wake up, we do that, but at times it so happened that we are at work, things are not going the way we wanted to do.
I know where this is going.
So, things happen and then we lose the balance on both mind and we sometimes get agitated with
The moment
blood
is
pressure.
close, yeah.
Yes. In those kind of spikes where the negativity is at peak, it can be work pressure, stress, family situation, XYZ. How do we uh, pull our mind back and then make it focus again on Krishna?
ये संस्कृत शब्द संग का मतलब क्या है? संग
Sangha is association.
या किस प्रकार का संग?
Sangati. Sangha association is how your surroundings basically.
Yes. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. Your desires are determined by the association you keep. And that association doesn't just mean, who you hang out with, so to speak. It means everything that is going into your 10 organic senses 24/7. You have to monitor that. That's what it means to control the senses. And if you do that, it makes sure that the only input is, what the Shruti mantra says, Bhadram karnebhi shrunayama devaha. Ityadi, that you only see auspicious things, you only hear auspicious things, you only associate with auspicious things. You will make advancement very rapidly. The problem you're talking about, we lose momentum, is exactly why Krishna tells Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, Santushta satatam yogi yatatma drishtanishtayaha. You have to be a yogi satatam, not just in the morning. We're devotees in the morning, all of us, and by the evening we're demons again. Isn't that how it works? Generally, that's what it is.
Exactly.
And why is that? Sangat sanjayate kama, karanam guna sangosya, sarasat yoni janmasu. From that very association, you're determining your future birth also. If you're associated with materialistic people or things, you will get that in the next life only. Here's what you want. You make a choice. If you instead make the choice, no, I'm not going to do X, I'm going to do Y, and you determine to get that, goal in life, then you will go to Y instead of X. It's up to us. But it takes a lot of self-control. It takes a lot of discipline. And we're not eager to do that. We would rather just switch on the autopilot and let the modes of material nature take control of our lives. And they will. And that's how we go down. Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha. Madhye tishtanti rajasaha. Horizontal progress. What is that? Jahanya guna vrittistha adho gachanti tamasaha. Chapter 15 says, those who are sattvic, they go up. Those who are rajasic, they just stay here. Those who are tamasic go down. It's up to us. It's human life, Baba. This is a big responsibility. Animals can't make this choice at all. An animal cannot elevate from the mode of ignorance. Even they can become a little passionate, but they cannot come to goodness. It's not possible. We have that possibility. Why not take advantage of it before you lose it? Jabalagatana tatana vyapay. Jabalagapari hari seva. Ek madhya yogin kavi ne kaha. So yeah, it's a serious business. It's just a question of monitoring our association, controlling our association, and choosing the correct association. Satsanga. That's all. It is a challenge. I admit that it is a challenge because you have to surround yourself with people who are moving in one direction. It's like swimming upstream, huh? Exactly like that. Yeah, it's not easy. But, have you got something better to work for? You better just be carried downstream along with the rest of them. Where's that going to end you up? Destination unknown. So here's the key. You surround yourself with strong association in the morning. Get up early in the morning. How do you get up early in the morning?
Sleeping early.
Huh?
Sleeping early.
Yes, go to bed at night. And this is impossible for Indians in general. They don't even eat dinner until 10 o'clock, right? So, this is the real challenge. But if you get up early, nothing has started yet. Kids are asleep. The whole world is quiet. They're all in Tamil Gunati. But you don't have to be like that. Yana Shastra Bhutana Ityadi. Krishna says, what is daytime for all beings is night for the introspective sage and vice versa. So, you get up early, like I told her, that you focus, the 5-10 minutes even, I'm happy. I don't take much. Prabhupada wanted us to read these books an hour every day. I'm not so strict like that. I'm telling you, just read one person per quarter. College, we read 70 books to come here. Because we were determined. We wanted to make this life what it is. And I'm telling you, read 4 books. So it's this question of being serious. But now is the time to do that, because if you take this decision now, most of you are a little bit younger than me even. So you will draw benefits for the rest of your life. That is a fact. So, But the real key for this, and just as with the previous question, the real key to getting the determination to focus and to direct your life according to the trajectory that you choose instead of the modes of nature choosing. The real key to that is satsanga. You surround yourself with holy association. People who are similar, like-minded, and strong faith. Actually, good association means 3 conditions have to be met. The person has to be similar to you, sajatiya, and maybe another IT engineer, or somebody from your state, same state or province. Or the person also has to be snigdha. Person should be affectionate towards you, because then you get mercy. And finally, what's the third thing? Sajati ashaya snigdha. Sadhu sambhasvato vare. The person has to be better than you. Because there's no point in associating with your peers if you're just going to have a good time. Association doesn't mean we sit around and eat potatoes and watch the cricket match. That's not satsanga. You have to choose the association of somebody whose faith is deeper than yours, and then who's also affectionate to you and similar enough to you that you can relate. That is a winning formula. So find that association by whatever means it takes. This is not Muni's advice and not a Bhakti-sutta. Tareva sadhyatam, tareva sadhyatam. He says it twice. That's the only thing you should strive for, that association. Because in that association, sab kuch milega. Everything will be affected through that. It's such a magical thing, satsanga. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, anything else?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, please. Sorry.
So, we have to ask this, is satsang is enough to have focus and clarity in mind? I want to say, let's say just I'm doing satsang every morning, like 30 minutes, 60. But there is whole day in front of me that
Mm.
and thoughts wandering all around me, whole day. They are coming from all directions to me, from that's his whole day. So, if satsang is enough to like not making me wandering those thoughts and to get rid of these desires. So, or I have to do something else. Because this is the
No, only satsanga is there. And it is enough, but you have to do it as much as you possibly can. Not as much as you want to, and not as much as you think you can, but as much as you possibly can. That's a big deal. You're in America. If you were in India, you know how difficult this would be? I think you do. Everybody tells me, if we'd stayed in India, we never would have become Krishna conscious. But it's a fact. Your family is opposed. Your job is opposed. Government is even opposed. Right? Your mind is opposed. It's here in America, you can put picture of Krishna in your office cubicle. Nobody's going to say anything. Or they may say something, but they can't do anything. You have that freedom. Not like this everywhere. Count your blessings. You have the opportunity to take up satsanga to a maximum degree. You can, as Prabhupada said, mold your life in such a way that Krishna is always there. That's how you let advance. Even though the river is flowing downstream and threatens to carry you with it at any moment, if you're determined, you can go upstream. But you do have to be determined. That much we have to supply. And then this is why Prabhupada arranged in all of our Islam temples, there's from 4:30 a.m. until say 8:30 a.m. There's this whole battery of sadhana practices, Mangalarati, Japa, and Guru Puja, Bhagavata Parayana, Prasadam. And then during the day, you're going to get covered over by so much materialistic film, right? Clouding your vision. So what do? You come back, you take a bath, you put on fresh clothing, you go to the temple and attend the evening Arati Bhagavad Gita class. Like this. Transcendental sandwich. So the contamination is in the middle of the day, but it can be offset by this satsanga. And whatever you have to do, it's not practical to go to a temple, but it's a lot easier in America than it is in India, believe me. But even if you can't go to the temple all the time, but it's available at the push of a button. You can attend some sadhu sangha retreat or some kind of, class you can tune into anytime. You can download, you can listen anytime, practically speaking. In your car, while you're driving, you can hear. And these are the things. You just have to be determined to do it, by all means. Is it okay?
Yeah.
It's simple, but simple and easy are two different things. It's not easy because our hearts are infected. We don't have
we are not emotionally connected.
Yeah, that too. That too.
We are just trying to be logical.
लेकिन हो जाएगा. Okay. So, we just have to be determined. We have to stay connected with the Sangha. And then, everything will come. It's a fact. You will become purified, even though it looks doubtful now. We have to determine ourselves to actually make it happen. And it's not easy all the time. So, therefore, he says, yata pasyasi, Anteya. All right, anything else? Yes. What's your name? Yeah? I know.
But like it's from my experience, or maybe from most of our experience, it happened that whenever we are having some personal sorrow or any kind of, you know, the sad things of our life, at that point of our life, we are kind of more driven
Yes.
to.
All right. This is called Shmashan Vaidagya.
So, like, how can that is the only thing that actually helps us to, overcome the bad things of our life. So, or how can we explain that Krishna consciousness can actually help us?
Well, that's what the whole class has been about.
So,
Yeah, the Shmashan Vaidagya, this temporary, reaction to sad upheavals in life, that's actually not very solid ground. It doesn't really last. It cannot hold us on a spiritual platform for very long, because sooner or later things are going to be great. And then you get all giddy and intoxicated and forget. So, therefore satsanga is the real thing.
my question is very all emotional people, right? We are human beings. So, can we like, transfer that kind of emotions we have for a person? Means directly to Krishna.
Of course, that's the whole point. There's five rasas, right, that we're looking for in this material world. We want to be somebody's servant, we want to be somebody's friend, we want to be somebody's superior or parent, and we want to be somebody's lover. These things can be done with regard to God. That's the whole point. That's why these emotions actually exist. They're not meant to share with other people's material bodies or minds, or other temporary, situations of names and forms that arise and dissipate like bubbles in the ocean. What are all these, who is your real brother? Who's your real cousin? Who's your real spouse? None of these people is eternally connected to us. They're all temporary things. But we do have an eternal relationship with Krishna. And these relationships that we're looking for in the material world, they actually really only inhere in spiritual life. And that's what this human life is, a rare chance to actually see this and cultivate this and get out and go back to Godhead. There's no more any heartbreak, there's no more any interruption. Is it good? Okay, nice question.
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
Mataji spoke about the emotions, and I feel like I'm a little emotional person, and when somebody is telling me their trouble, and I directly jump to, even their, sometimes they ask for help, sometimes they don't. I jump to help them, and that.
Sounds like you have a cancer somewhere in your chart.
So, Prabhuji, what is happening? I am not there in bhakti yet,
Okay.
and I
Yeah,
started
therefore he
my.
said, Janma sarsa kari korapara. First, you have to make your own, you have to build your own foundation strong. Then you can hope to actually help someone else. Otherwise, what happens to other people pull it down.
And that happened, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So I used to do certain round of chanting, and every evening reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, and doing kirtan at home. Like, we had this routine, and in order to help someone, we invited few folks. Okay, let me help you out. This, that, and that break my entire routine. I was very confident that it will not happen, and I will
Yes.
not like, but it
Exactly.
happened. And now it is very difficult for me to go back to that. What was routine for me? I was doing it. It was easy, but now it is. It was just matter of few days, and
This is why I directed you to the nectar of instruction, Upadeshamritam, because this problem is also addressed there.
Mhm.
So, you just study that book very carefully. I think you'll find the direction you're looking for.
Sure, I will do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any last questions? Okay, Vijay.
7:30.
Mataji,
Okay.
can you say something about the power of chanting body?
Yeah, I mean, that's in this day and age, Hare Nama Seva Gati. I said that if it's twice mentioned, that means it's going to be on the test. So what to speak of then if it's 3 times mentioned? This is the Puranas and the Upanishads also are emphasizing. In this Kali Yuga, the real thing that makes everything happen is chanting the holy name. And the whole process of bhakti is really only meant to affect our practice of pure chanting of the holy name. All the satsanga, all the hearing, all the discipline, whatever, everything else we're doing, it's only meant to bring us to the stage where we can chant in healthy consciousness. Because when we chant in the right consciousness, that chanting is all we need. Okay? Therefore, we have so much emphasis in this. Any program of Krishna consciousness, it's going to be very, kirtan pradhan, so to speak. A lot of kirtan. Because this is the thing. And not only kirtan, japa also, we have these beads. And we're all chanting on the Japmala also every day. 2 hours minimum. Those who are initiated in Krishna consciousness, they take a vow to chant 16 rounds on the mala. So that's a very necessary. Harinam is the real yuga dharma for this age. Kalisat Parashad tells us, Iti Shorashikam Nam Kalikam Mashanashanam Nata Paraturopayo Sarvavedeshu Trishyate. That these 16 names, they have the potency to wipe out all the contamination of Kali Yuga. And if you look throughout all the Vedas, you'll not find anything else that's so effective as that. It's been my observation for 50 years now. Whoever takes up this process of chanting, they make advancement. Other people, they may or may not make advancement. Generally, they don't. But I think it's practical. You apply it in your life and you see what the difference is. Okay. I think it's time to stop now. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
So with a very immense gratitude and hearts with immense appreciation for Mukunda Prabhu and Srimurti Mataji. They both live in Vrindavan, but just for the benefit of people like us, they come to the East Coast and they come to such discussions. As you all noticed, Prabhu is extremely, his knowledge of Shastras is outstanding, wisdom is outstanding, and then you also heard him sing. So he's an extraordinary singer. His music knowledge is out of the world. He's a very good Pakwash player. Like, is that Prabhu, right? Yeah. And then, yes, we're very, very grateful, Prabhu, that you came and you shared your wisdom with us. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Lord Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
The next program is Prashadam. We would like to sing Prasad.